organisms. Okay, next we studied about that. What is a taxonomy? I already said that. What is the basic principle of taxonomy, ma? Yeah, the basic principle of taxonomy is that it is identification, nomenclature, and its classification. Okay, so these are the taxonomy. The word is coined by Augustine Pyramus de Cantor, who was the term word is given by the taxonomy. That is, the person name of the person is Augustine Pyramus de Cantor. Okay, who is the father of taxonomy? Aristotle is the father of taxonomy. That is the classical taxonomy. Okay, Carolus Linnaeus is the father of a modern taxonomy. Okay, so what is the principle of taxonomy? The science of the arrangement of living organisms, it along with classification, nomenclature, identification, and name of organisms, which includes for all living things of the world. The all living things is maybe a flora and fauna, that is the plants and animals, okay, including the microorganisms of the world. We call this, that is a living organisms. Okay, that is, what is a taxonomy, ma? We have to arrangement of living organisms based on classification, identification, nomenclature, and its identification. Okay, classifications, it includes that is a flora for all living things. What are the living things? Flora, fauna, and including the microorganisms. Okay, who is the father of taxonomy, classical taxonomy? Aristotle. Who is the father of modern taxonomy? Is it Carolus Linnaeus? Who had given the name of taxonomy, the word of taxonomy? That is that Augustine Pyramus de Cantor. Can you understand? So first we studied about that is a taxonomy. Next is a systematics. The taxonomy and systematics is more or less is a very similar character. But how it is, what is the systemics? It will be deals, that is that diversity of organisms is comparative and evolutionary relationship and grouping of organisms at every level classification, right species to the kingdom. Okay, can you understand, ma? So what is that classification, ma? Classification is that 8 taxa. Okay, what is the higher taxonomy, ma? Higher hierarchy, that is a kingdom. Which one is the lowest taxa? That is a species. Okay, so it will be every level of classification from species to the kingdom. Okay, we have to deal the diversity of organisms. What is the diversity of organisms? That is a living organisms is present on the earth. Okay, so we have to classify based on their comparative and evolutionary relationship and grouping of an organisms. Can you understand? We have to classify it from right to that is a right the levels of it's a species to the kingdom, that is deals with the diversity of organisms with the which there is a comparative study of evolutionary relationship and is a grouping of organisms. Can you understand? So this is that is a principles of systematics. Okay, next is what is the history of classification. So who was given that is a first history, that is Aristotle. Okay, Aristotle was the first to classify the all animals. So Aristotle, they have to classify all the animals. Okay, he had written one book, that is the name of the book is a history of animals. In Latin, the name of the book is a Historia Animalium. Okay, so this is that is a history Aristotle. So the Aristotle is classified in based on 2 classifications. One for is classified based on locomotion. Another one is classified based on that is a presence or absence of RBC cells. Okay, so now first we studied about that. What is the classifications? One is that based on locomotion. Locomotion means that is that movement from one place to the another place. Okay, so the locomotion, one is a walking, another one is flying, another one is swimming. Okay, so which one have using a walking? That is that terrestrial animals. Okay, which one is having using a flying? That is that aerial, that is the birds. So these are the examples. Next, which one is that swimming? Is that aquatic animals. Okay, so in this category the Aristotle, they have to classify based on locomotion is the first classification. Second, classify all the animals, it will be based on that as a presence or absence of RBC cells. What is the RBC cells? That is a red blood cells. Okay, in animals having, he classified the animals having with the blood. With blood means that is the enema. Without blood, that is called as the anema. So what are the two based on this classification of Aristotle? One is classified based on locomotion. Okay. Second one is based on this is the presence or absence of RBC. Can you understand? Okay. Next is what is the limitations of Aristotle? Why Aristotle classification of animals is failure? Nowadays we cannot follow our Aristotle classification of animals study. Okay. Why? What are the limitations seen in that Aristotle? That is so how to classify Aristotle, they have to fail to classify the frogs where to place them, because the frogs is an amphibian. Already we know it will be a land and is that both living in a water, so it is called as them as a amphibians. Okay, so they have to, Aristotle is a fail to classify the amphibians. Okay, next is Aristotle is classified is based on locomotion, already we know, but he has to fail to placing that is a not flying birds. Okay, which one is not birds but cannot be fly, ma? That is ostrich, emu and penguin. Okay, so birds are, they have to classified under the locomotion, but the ostrich, emu and penguin, they have to left out of this classification. Okay, so these are the two failure classifications. It will be prolapsed or collapsed to the Aristotle, so we can leave the classifications of Aristotle models. Okay, next followed by Aristotle. Can you understand, ma? So what is the Aristotle? What is we have to study it in the history of Aristotle. Aristotle is writing, the name of the book is the history of animals. Okay, written in the name of the book is the history of animals, and is that in Latin the name of the book is that is the Historia Animalium. What are the two classification is based on? One is that is a locomotion. Okay, next is based on this is a red blood cells or BC cells. With red blood cells is called as an enema. Okay, without blood is called as the anema. Okay, what is the failure? That is limitations of Aristotle's. One is a failing to classify the frog and failing to the not flying birds. Okay. Next is it's followed by Theophrastus. So Theophrastus is a students of Aristotle. Okay, he is the student of Aristotle. He is only classifying the plants. Okay, so he is called as the father of botany. Who is called as the father of botany? That is the Theophrastus. Okay, who is called as father of zoology? That is Aristotle. Okay, in 16th century, followed by Theophrastus is followed by, it's a 16th century, that is a John Ray, as a scientist came and wrote several important works through his life. Okay, in 1682 he published the Methodus Plantarum Nova. What is the name of the book? It's a Methodus Plantarum Nova, which contain about 18,000 plant species. What is how many plant species they had to included in that book? That is a 18,000 species of plants. Okay, so it is a result of relatively narrow species concept. Can you understand, ma? So now we have the history of classification. First is the Aristotle, and next is Theophrastus, and next is followed by it's a John Ray. Okay, next is the fourth person, that is that Swedish biologist. Who is the Swedish biologist? Yeah, that is Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus had given a classification, that is that it's a taxonomy hierarchy. Already we studied in that first basic principles. Okay, so the Carolus Linnaeus we called as the father of a modern taxonomy or founder of a modern systematics. Okay, so he developed a scientific system of taxonomy and is a binomial nomenclature. 2 mark, note it, ma. What are the Carolus Linnaeus developed? One is that is a taxonomy, scientific system of taxonomy. He developed a scientific system of taxonomy, and is that binomial nomenclature. Who is developed the binomial nomenclature? Is that Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, now still we are to follow in that Carolus Linnaeus classification. Can you understand? Okay, so next is followed by the Carolus Linnaeus is having a scientific system of taxonomy, and is next to develop a numerical taxonomy. So with the help of the computer use. Okay, so it will be helpful to inducing the knowledge of phylogenetic tree concepts. Okay, what is the phylogenetic tree? So the Carolus Linnaeus, the numerical systems with the computer usages, it will be initiates them studies of evolutionary and genetic relationship among organisms, which leads to the emerge of phylogenetic classifications or cladics. So the Carolus Linnaeus are initiating the numerical systems with the help of them is a computer usage. So the biologists, they have to understand to initiate the studies of them evolutionary and the genetic relationship. Okay, what is the evolution, ma? What is the evolution? How we have to from ape to man it's forming. Okay, what are the different shades from each and every, that called as the evolution. Okay, so it will be helpful to lead the emerge of a phylogenetic tree classification. What is the other name of the phylogenetic classification? That is called as the cladistics. Okay, next is, so what is the cladistics classification? So in a short form, we called as that genetic differences between all species in the phylogenetic tree. How we have to summarize us the cladistics or phylogenetic tree? That is genetic differences, okay, in all species. That is a summarizing form of cladistic. Okay, who had given the concept of phylogenetic tree? Okay, that is Ernest Haeckel. Who had given is the Ernest Haeckel is introduced to the method of a representing evolutionary relationship with the help of a tree diagram. Okay, so they have to representing the what is the main method. Ernest Haeckel only represents the evolutionary relationship within the organisms. Okay, all species. So with the help of a tree diagram. Okay, he using a tree diagram. So that tree diagram we called as a phylogenetic tree, or otherwise it is called as a cladogram, or otherwise it is called as a cladistics. Can you understand what is the differentiate? Okay, so all the names are same, but using this concept is a diagrammatic method that is called as a phylogenetic tree. Okay, so these are the arranging organisms. First, the Ernest Haeckel, they have to arranging organisms. They have to arrange based on the similar character and derived character. Okay, so similar character means from our ancestral. Okay, what is the ancestral? This is my father and mother, or it's my forefathers. Okay, what are the similar characters? First, they have to identify. Okay, which one is a derived character? Newly formed character from the ancestral. Okay, so it will be used to produce here one of that tree diagram. It will be leads to helping formation of a phylogenetic tree. Can you understand? So what is the main principle of is a phylogenetic tree or cladogram? That is that arranging of organisms, arranging the organisms based on similar character or derived character. Similar character means it from our ancestral, or it newly produced. Derived character means it's a newly produced from our ancestral. Okay, so what are the differentiate from the similar characters or derived characters from the ancestral characters? Okay, so it will be producing the new evolution studies. It will be helpful to with the help of draw diagram, tree diagram, using a tree diagram. So that is called as a phylogenetic tree or cladogram. Can you understand? So this is that we have to now today only understand the what is biodiversity. What is biodiversity? Can you understand? So biodiversity is nothing but all living things is present on the earth. That is called as a biodiversity. Okay, and who had given the term given is that who had given the term of a ecosystem? In this lesson we have only mainly participate in the principle. Okay, what is the taxonomy principle? What is that is a cladistics phylogenetic tree principles, and what are the classification of Aristotle classification? Which one is the limitations of Aristotle? Okay, what is the name of the book written by the John Ray, and who had name given? Okay, term given, ecosystem term given, taxonomy name given, phylogenetic tree. So this is very much important in this topic. Can you understand? Thank you.